Alright, my X-Type motor. Guys, I'll be rail car spotted with KKK R28 federal specifications. This is a diesel engine motor driven, and then I do my own tailoring, but I'm not quite that perfect. In Military Standards 100, it talks about having two source suppliers. So GE might also need somebody for spare parts as the next second source supplier. Engineering drawings. Calculation gear design. You can get a gear spec application, which will do your gear calculation for you. Military tab. This is the main generator that is supposedly going to be the most prominent. Auxiliary. This motor is terminating, and then the main generator turns an auxiliary generator. This is the overhead power unit drive unit. And that shows flywheels, oil pumps, main generator coupler, okay, governor drive shaft, harmonic balance, flywheels, engine, oil pump, flywheels, harmonic balancers, piston rods, camshaft, crankshaft. And then I looked up the offensive listization, so this would be the diesel power number as an item number for cataloging. Same thing, flywheels, harmonic piston rods, drive unit diesel. Let's see, we'll try to belt drive as it goes over the oil pump and the water pump on the right. Left pump, oil pump, scavenger. Middle, these are the turbochargers on the left, as well as the camshaft. Shows the little lead sheet metal for the covering of the block, which I really didn't draw very out. Next we have drive harmonic balancer and tamper wheel, damper wheel, flywheel, belt drive again, balance harmonic, shows the plates, and then band of cylinders, shows the different cylinder dimension rings, and then piston rod. Notice this one has a cutout in the front of it. Like, this is so... It's something I thought of during out of a textbook, which had a cutaway of a piston view. So I said, why not a hole? But something like that's already been patented because I saw it stolen on me from the engine block assembly. This is your X-Type motor frame fastening for the head blocks. Shows the motor block full length. On the X-Type motor frame for fastening to head blocks. On the side, at the very bottom one of the lower frame, those are holes to reach into to fasten. On the right, you can fasten on the left, and then the top, these middle ones are the head block, are the cylinder holes. Head block shows the head block opening and lower crankshaft bearing shell. And upper crankshaft bearing shell. Piston rod, camshaft, hammer, governor drive shaft, engine, oil wheel pump, power unit driving again. Belt drive unit again. Simple crankshaft, main generator engine coupler, which is that right there. And crankshaft assembly, cylinder piston, diesel set, piston, engine block assembly. We'll zoom in on this one. Shows the valve cylinder head block. This shows the exhaust path and the cutaways of the valves and the bolts to link it to the center cylinder. Here is your cylinder liner. There's actually one piss hole right here, And this is your water jacket side, so you can fill it with water. Alright, we did a side view of the oil jumper. So the oil jumper, this is the camshaft, rocker arm, valves, rocker adjustment, multi-unit and rocker lash adjusters is going to be a Cummins, but this is all can be made up by factory. So this shows the cylinder jumper, which shows the straight line going to the can from the can to the end, the cylinder rods, then pouring out into the valves. Rocker arm lash adjuster bridge oil pass. Alright, then it shows the valve bridge. Shows the oil flow for that jumper. Valve spring with a rocker arm and diesel injector. This is your fuel injectors from a 567 Cummins diesel engine, as long as that, and this is the injector control linkage. This is the same as the Cummins 567. This shows the governor on front engine view with the governor. The governor has two. This is the governor in the middle. This shows the engine cutaway view. You can see the cylinder liners, the cylinder headers, the rocker arm and adjusters, and which bank they go to. This shows the connection rod. Has three little braces over here, one large, one small. Crab bolts, plates, keep the headers on. Crab bolts and plates. As you can see now, they're on the headers in between. Front face of the engine. This shows the connection rod and where the pistons would be, circular wise. This shows the two-stroke camshaft and angles, injection, compression, expression, top dead center, exhaust, transfer, and boost. Here's a chart of that. Camshaft idler gear. Alright, this shows the camshaft over here with the damper pulley. The turbocharger with these lines is welded onto there. It's given the servo motor, separate electrical servo motor to turn the turbocharger, and an air filter. This is a scavenger pump. Show the gears going there. Once again, we'll use the gear calculator. There's the water pump. Once again, scavenger gears. Flywheel will be gear calculator as well. This shows the exhaust pipes. Now there's two in the back. These holes are vented into the circular part of the last engine exhaust, and then it goes out through the X pipe. So these side air intake walls bleed into the to the motor, with it has a fan on it, the back. Once again, you see it's supposed to be two three propeller blades. Like, it looked better in layers, so you could see actually that. Servo motors again. Alright, this is the oil filter, sight glass, and then fuel pump. So the fuel pump right here has a switch. You can see the single throw switch, and then oil filter as it pumps in, and it's also sight glass and pump. So this right here, if it fills up and the sight glass is over here, oil filter, oil pump. Alright, that shows the belt drives again. I don't know, I guess I took a lot of shots at the belt drive. Alright, this is your fuel limiter, emergency alarm, and fuel shutoff. Alright, this is the camshaft, which has a flywheel adjustment, which you can screw down, which adjusts the overspeed. This overspeed is open when it comes down. When this comes open, when the fuel camshaft weight hits this lever on the fuel head block, shuts off the fuel pump, which is the overspeed alarm, and it opens the fuel pump switch. So therefore, the fuel pump is no longer pumping. This shows the overspeed central figure governor springs, which we haven't looked at the governor yet. This shows the governor flywheel springs. This shows the overhead accumulator and power piston, accumulator power system right bank, left bank. Those are accumulator pistons for. This goes to the lash adjusters on the rocker arms. Here is the governor assembly. These are rotary check valves with handles. These are the loops. Alright, this shows the oil gallery, the galleries for this. These paths go in a square circle. When they rotate, they they can shut off the oil or the fuel by the rotary check arms, which are kind of like, let me go back over here. Top has flywheels right here, and flywheels. This is a pressure control regulator system, and then there will be a pressure regulator that right here, which is ball bearing bleeded, and it fits around. Okay. Alright, this shows the governor shaft, sleeve, and plunger. Alright. This shows the lube oil pressure relief valve. This shows the fuel path of rotary check valves. Those screws, they have squares. Notice if I'm moving close enough, you can see that you can turn these 1/2 turn and shut off a bank if you want, but they all run together pretty much the same. Alright, this is the workaround, the governor on the oil sleeve shaft plunger. This is where the pressure regulator would go, and it shows the different floats for the governor. This shows the spec relationship to all four sides of the governor with dampers and harmonic balancer oil, like flywheel. There is some oil that goes in the oil flywheel. This shows the rotary governor topside with corrected rotary path. Once again, with the front view engine with governor on it, like our pressure crank release regulator, governor, air goes in, air goes up, plunger, flywheels move up. Plunger moves up, so does the, should change the oil. See, I designed this governor and the Xtype motor. This is a special mounted governor, so it's not stationary somewhere else in the drawing. Rear turbocharger, 1, 2. Those are the two fans, and then the exhaust pipes that we saw earlier. Your airflow pressure crank bath affilator. Those go from the side of the air intake on the head blocks. Alright, overspeed triple arm again. I didn't think I put that in there twice. Okay, this is the oil gallery. Has a web cover on it. Crankcase web, which is bolted over top of it. Alright, it starts here up at the top right bank and then comes back. It comes up, fills up the top left bank, comes down, fills up the right bank, and then comes down and fills up the left bank, and then it's headed backwards, like, okay. Alright, this is a fuel pump. I just kind of ripped it off, but It's an electric fuel pump. I traced it. Here's that fuel pump, and it says self. This shows you fuel system overload. Shows the fuel lines going from the lash adjuster, ball valve optional. You have your fuel lines, fuel hoses, ball valve optional going into the governor, and fuel pump and fuel alarm. This shows more of the fuel system overboard. Vector fuel path, same thing as the oil path. Triplex oil system. It shows the oil system. Oil to the governor, pressure plate, scavenger pump, oil thrower through the bottom of the oil pan, oil pipe sight and filters, oil pump, crankshaft arm, cylinder heads, and pressure plate in the rear. Oil pan, it has a grid like a washing board in the middle of it to cool them. It's with the oil cooler. This shows the oil scavenger pump. Once again, gears, calculators, available freeware on the internet. Also, all the screws that haven't been in a dash or bolts will be also mill typed and dug in at the first assembly. Alright, this shows the oil throw filter and to the gallery of the crankshafts. So you have your oil throw motor block fill air, shows the crankshaft bearing passage. So this is your overhead oil throw capacitor, and then this shows the oil path gallery to the journal bearing. Alright, overhead cylinder with jumpers. Camshaft again. This shows the oil sump pan motor, strainer, gear 1, gear 2, a DC synchronized motor, terminal positive negative. Then the oil pump is the same as the fuel pump. Scavenger wheel gear, flywheel, scavenger oil pump housing, scavenger oil pump side view oil jumpers. Vector diagram, cylinder connection, rod and piston. Oil filter alarm instead of fuel. Guard diesel engine. Shows diesel fuel path vector diagram with the oil path rear vector diagram and web. Then once again to the power unit. Water pump, this time only 2 gears instead of 3 gears in the scavenger. This shows the water pipe to the top left cylinder bank and bottom left cylinder, and then the left water bank. So on the right, it's right, shows the right bank. Water scavenger going to the cylinder liners and also to the headers. And those are going to be placed on there with jaw bites. Thermostat. Alright, and that pretty much is the Xtype motor. And then I have also done an assembly, which is short, such as X motor frame, head blocks, motor frame, lower frame, bottom head brake fastener, Xtype motor, install oil throw line, install lower crankshaft bearing, journal dummy fasten, powertrain, rear train, main gear coupler, rear turbo charger fans 1, 2, fasten, rear flywheel crankshaft dummy fasten with front and rear upper crankshaft bearing journal, the lower crankshaft bearing journals, and then it goes on, and it's pretty easy step. Remember that the bolts and the headers, the bolts and the gears are bolts are tap and die, and then gaskets are cardboard cutouts, and then whatever needs to be welded will be welded, and then gears are gear calculator. And that goes over the Xtype motor.